Welcome back. This video, I'm going to teach you how you can load text and then use Langchain to create embeddings for those documents, and then finally use ChromaDB to query those documents. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to create a new file. Let's call it Langchain doc demo. Okay. I'm going to paste in some few. So before you start, you need to pip install ChromaDB. Okay. So if you Google ChromaDB, you can find a lot of information about them, and then the documentation as well. Okay. So this DB sits, I don't know if it sits on top of DB, something like that. So you can read more about it. So this is where we are going to store our vectors, okay, our document embeddings, okay. I'm going to paste in some few imports and then we discuss it, because I don't want to type everything. That's going to take a lot of time. So as you can see, we are importing retrieval question and answer, plus we are also calling openai. We're calling text loader that is going to load our text files. And then okay, we are not going to use the vector store index. I think we're going to use recursive character text splitter. And then we're also going to use the openai embeddings, ChromaDB, and then load.env. So I'm going to call load.env, which is going to load our environment variable. That is going to load something like this. Let me put it here. It's going to load something like this from the environment variable, or you can set it this way. But if you want to hide it, this is what you do. And then you load it this way. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say loader is equal to text loader. And then we pass in the text that we want to use is called state of the nation or state of the union.txt. So I'm going to say Islama state of the union.txt, and then comma, we encode it as UTF-8. Okay. Once we do that, we can say documents is equal to loader.load. Okay. Once we do that, we can now say text splitter is equal to recursive character text splitter. And then it's going to take some few parameters. The first one is going to be the chunk size. So we want to split this text into chunks, okay? That's what the chunks is. So if we say 1000, and then also want to pass in chunk overlap, okay? The chunk overlap is, you can set it to some few text, however you want, or you can leave it 0 if you want. But I'm going to set it to, let's say, 20 characters overlap. And then I'm going to say text is equal to text splitter dot split document. and then we pass in the document. Okay. Now we want to create our embeddings using the openai embeddings. So we're going to say embeddings is equal to openai, and then we're not going to pass in any parameter. It takes some default values, but we are going to leave it as it is. So as you can see, it takes the model name, okay, let me do this. So it takes the model name, which can be GPT-4, GPT 3.5 Turbo. No, it doesn't take it. It rather takes the text embedding adder 002. Okay, sorry about that. And then the deployment string, the open API versions, and all that. Okay, so this is the embedding. I was a bit confused. I thought we were just calling the open AI. The open AI will take the tables and then the GPT 3.5 and GPT-4 and all of that, or Text Da Vinci and all that. So here we are not going to pass any parameter in there. The next is to create the vector store. So we're going to store these embeddings in our vector store, and the vector store is the ChromaDB. So vector store as the index to query. So once we store the vector embeddings in the ChromaDB, we can now query it. So we're going to say db is equal to chroma dot from document, and then we pass in the text as well as the embeddings. So now we have our db. We can now create the retriever interface. Okay, so we're going to say retriever is equal to db dot as retriever, and we're not going to pass in any parameter. So now we can create a chain model for our Q&A. Okay, so we're going to say QA is equal to retrieval QA, and we're going to say dot from chain type. The chain type is, we're going to pass in the LLM, the chain type, which the default is stuff, and then other arguments. So we're going to pass in LLM is equal to OpenAI, and then we pass in the chain type is equal to stuff. There are other parameters that you can pass in, like the map reduce as a chain type, but we are going to stick with the default. And then retriever is equal to retriever. Okay. So that is all for So that is all. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build some queries as a list. Then I'm going to ask the question, what did the president say about Vladimir Putin? I'll also ask the question, is Ukraine winning the war against Russia. So these are the two questions I want to ask. So I'm going to say for query and queries, I want to say print QA dot run, and then I pass in the query. I'm just going to run this and let's see the results.